Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another planty video. I'm Sherry, and today I'm going to do a couple different things. However, first priority are to these guys here. They are waiting patiently for me to put their collars on, and we're going to go for a walk. So when I come back, my plan is to repot my alocasias that aren't currently in the naked root pot planter and put them into it. So just to give a little history, I did test these planters out on philodendron ring of fire, and I also put my syngonium, baby syngonium, in the 3-inch one. They didn't do so well, but they didn't do well. And I had them in bonsai jackrit 100%. And it was just too wet all the time, which I found mind-blowing. Personally, I was like, I think mainly because it was so wet, because it didn't suck up the water the way a normal, I say normal, my DIY mix that I've been putting together for my aeroids, which is currently, I am considering changing also, but currently I'm using Molly's aeroid mix, I'm using tree fern fiber, and I'm using the bonsai jack grit mix and mixing them together. Now, I've changed that somewhat since my chop of my Anthurium Michelle Doc Block last week. I have learned through losing some plants with the dry rot, that what's happening using my current mix is it's still too heavy. And I don't know if it's the plant, because I lost my queen and I had to chop her too, which by the time you see this, that video should be out already. So if it is out, I will link it to this video. But I did chop her. Currently, the only thing left is the butt cut with the roots. What roots I had left. I lost the leaf and the top cut that I tried. Just didn't work out. But I say all that because I'm changing, or I am considering changing, how I'm mixing my mix. It needs to be more airy. So I have been, I am starting to use my orchid bark mix with extra chunky perlite in it. And I think I really like that. And I may even stop using Molly's altogether, use that with tree fern fiber and be done with it. And I haven't decided yet, but I think that's the way I'm going to go with these naked root pot transplants, repots. And I'm only going to repot these because, and I don't want to get too far in yet because I still have to take these guys out, but I repotted my Alocasia Caprea a couple weeks back into, or not a couple weeks, I'd say maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks in it, and it absolutely thrived. I mean, thrived being in that pot. And right now we're currently sitting in the dry cycle stage, and I feel confident enough to go ahead and repot these without having to know how this plant is going to do in come, I think, September 13th is the day that I will fill the reservoir back up with water. So, again, I'm not an expert. The owner of the shop actually emailed me after I reordered a whole bunch of these pots and asked if I needed help, just to reach out. So I started asking her questions, and there's a whole lot I don't know. So just if you want to ride with me during this ride, I'd love it if you hit the subscribe button, and I'd also love it if you shared my video and hit a like button too. Shh. Hey, you guys want to go for your walksies? You be better, okay? You be better, yeah. So we're going to get ready here, do our walk, and at some point, it'll be today or tomorrow, I'll be coming back on here and we'll be doing that repot. So hope to see you then, and we'll see you on the flip side. Hey everyone, so I'm back from my walk. Have a little bit of a low blood sugar issue right now, so I have eaten my glucose tablets to bring it up. So if I have to get up right away, I'll be back. So I don't know if any of y'all out there are diabetic, but it's a rough road, isn't it? I mean, I've known about my diabetes for, wow, I was diagnosed with type 1 in 2003. 2003, they finally figured out. I went in with severe feet pain in 2001, and it took them almost 2 years to figure out I was a diabetic. Can you believe that? Yeah. That's a really painful story to remember. I was in a wheelchair for quite a while, unable to walk around and shop and all the things that I do now, in 2024, absolutely incredible where I've come from. So anyone who's diabetic, I'd love to hear from you, and if you have a story to tell, I'd love to see it. So anyways, let's get to repots. I have a massage at noon, and so I've got approximately 2 hours before I have to turn the camera off. So let's go with it. All right, so I need to move you down, lower if I can. All right, so first thing I want to do is to go over my existing plants that I have converted, which are 3. I've converted 3. So I'm going to give you the big guy first, this is the Alocasia Caprea, and I don't like the way this camera is behaving. And it's not. All right. All right, we'll see if this helps. I had to bring the tripod back farther. So, as I was saying, this is my Alocasia Caprea, and the reason I put him in this pot, like I've said, it was, he was dry constantly. He put out this big leaf in maybe May, and after he put that leaf out, he just started pumping leaves out. So these are all brand new leaves, the original leaves I've cut off. But what happened, okay, so this is my original newest leaf that came out. Then this one came out, which was, I didn't think was going to be as big as this, because when it first came out, it was a lot smaller, like this one. Okay. So I thought, well, that's a bummer. I was hoping he would be as big, if not bigger, than this one. Well, he is bigger now. And what I uncovered was he just needed more water because I wasn't watering him enough. So every 5 days in one of these, let me get my other one. I'll show you. This is, he was in a 5-inch. No, he was in a 7-inch, I think, pot. This is, I believe, a 5 or 6-inch that my Alocasia currently is sitting in. But he was in a plastic pot like this. And like the Alocasias here, I mean, just completely dry. So I decided that even though the Ring of Fire did not do well in this pot, but I don't believe it was the pot's fault. It was my fault of only using Bonsai Jack Grit Mix. And two, I just don't think every plant should be in this pot. That's just my baby, my little newness review on this. I just feel like you only want to do this with plants that, I don't know, that really need water frequently. I don't think I would put my cactus in it, but at the same time, it's designed for cactuses and succulents. So these are the instructions that came with the pot. So if you get it, you will be able to, you know, take a look at that. But I'm not recommending them. I'm just, this is what I'm doing. And this is my story about them. And so let me, before I derail, so this one came out, not in this pot. This one came out. Then this one was already on its way out inside of this one sheath that they all shared. So what I noticed, and I think I have a picture of it, and I'll put it up. This leaf right here was, I felt like it was stuck in the sheath. So I cut the sheath just a little bit. And boy, do I have regrets. My husband said, honey, let the plant figure itself out. And he's right. But I cut the sheath. And what ended up happening was he was like premature. And you can tell based off his height. Well, he was hanging down, hitting the grit. He was just completely slung over. He was only about this tall. So right now I would say, so he was about that tall. The leaf was half this size, and it was just all cooped, circled in together, and just hung over, you know, like, oh my gosh, I'm out way too early. And I was like, oh no. I was like, and then this one, as you can see here, it's another one starting to come out. So I was like, this isn't getting enough water. I just really believed deep down that was the issue. And so I went ahead and repotted him in this. I used the same, I just take it out of the pot, put it in this pot, and then fill around the sides. I don't want to change any of the mix because they seem to love it. And I'll probably do that today. I don't want to change too much. So that being said, right, so this is an 8-inch pot, and notice there's no water. So I have some notes here, and I wrote down, so I repotted in an 8-inch naked root pot on August 26th. Now today is September 7th. So August 26th, I did the repot, and it was all filled up. The recommended dry cycle for alocasias are 14 days. So what that means is you potted in, you've got it filled up in the reservoir, and then they recommend 14 days on top of that of sitting dry in the reservoir. Now, I'm not going to do 14 days because I know how much this plant wants water. However, I also don't want to mess anything up. Now, if I stick my finger in here, I still feel moisture. Now, I said, so August 26th is when I put it in. September 6th, yeah, pollinated, do not feel cycle. So I put in here, I calculated 8 days. So I calculated 8 days for my dry cycle, which means altogether I will water this plant every 18 days before in this pot, I watered every 3 days. So 18 days, 3 days. Now, you might ask, well, Sherry, why not do semi-hydro? And then you don't have to really worry much about it. Well, do I? I do, because I watch many planting channels that they have to refill their semi-hydro pots. I forget what they're called. Semi-hydro pots almost every week because it soaks up the water. Where this plant, it's not going to get rewatered until the dry cycle's up. So to me, that's better. And what I don't like is I don't like pond. And I also don't like my bonsai jack grip mix either for these plants. And I really like the bark. I like the mix I use. This is the one I was talking about earlier. This is the new mix I've made for my orchids. And then I'm also going to use this partially with my anthuriums and possibly alocasias. I don't know yet. We'll see. But yeah, so guys, if it's possible that my 8 days I calculated for my dry cycle may not be enough. So before when that day comes, I think it's September 13th. When that day comes, I'm going to stick my finger in here and see where I'm at. And if it's still moist and he still looks happy, I may add 2 or 3 more days on to the dry cycle and just keep waiting because they've recommended 14 days or for alocasias, give or take. Now, it's not a must. It's just they're just saying that's what they would recommend. So, yeah. So that's what, this is why I have decided to put all my alocasias in this. So that's this one. And now the next one I did was my black velvet. So my black velvet's sitting in the 5-inch pot. He was in a 4-inch pot like this one, but 4 inches. And I had to water him every 3 days, sometimes every 2 days. Now, there is still water in this one. It looks like he's got maybe 1 inch, I guess, of water left. I don't want to, I can't show you, but it's about 1 inch of water left, maybe a little half 1 inch. So I would guess probably in 3 days, this will be dry, and I'll count up my dry cycle, and then I will set that in my app to when I need to check him again to water him. I didn't write down when I did that, but this was one of the newer ones. I just did this one, I think, this week. So, and these are both brand new leaves, and I see a new one starting to come out. I think, I can't tell. And then I did the baby. This is one of the baby Capreas. So I've got 2 baby Capricorns. And this one is going to be done today. And as you can see how dry that is? I just watered it last night. Now, he's in tree fern. Although it looks dry, it's still pretty wet. Okay? It's still pretty wet. So I probably wouldn't water this again. I think I have it scheduled every 2 days. So because I did it last night, I wouldn't really water this then till tomorrow. But because I'm going to put him in this pot today, he's going to get watered anyways. And I am going to change this out because I don't want 100% tree fern around him. Now, so this one's on a dry cycle. This one repotted into 3-inch from the 2-inch, which was this one, using big perlite at the bottom. So I put big perlite at the bottom, put in the original mix above, and tree fern around the root. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Dry cycle between 7 and 14 days, and I wrote down it took 4 days to dry out in the reservoir. Started a 3-day dry cycle September 6th, so that was yesterday. So my dry cycle started yesterday, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm only going to do a 3-day dry cycle, but honestly, yeah, it's pretty wet. So it's going to be probably more than 3 days, guys. And he's growing a new little baby. I don't know if you can see it in there or not. But these guys love water, and I'm going with it. I'm excited now that I think that I've found the niche for it. So let's get this ball started. Gosh, these sticky things for these gnats. Guys, I haven't seen a gnat flying in here for almost a week, and I'm so excited. I need to go buy new stickies and put them around to see if I can see any gnats. These are old, and I don't believe these are new gnats that are stuck to it. I think they're just kind of old. I'm going to have a video on what I did and what my process was. So stay tuned for that. Okay, I can't get it off my finger. All right. Take on it. All right, I'm just going to lay it down. Okay, so let's do him first. Look at this beauty, guys. I thought I was going to have to chop him. And I'm so glad I did not chop him when this leaf was coming out, because I was so bummed because they're all been white. This one's like almost the original. And these have all been white. And we know that white won't last. And look what it gave me. This is the most beautiful leaf, guys. And I just hope and pray that I keep getting these pushed out and no more of these. They're pretty, but they're just not going to last at all. I mean, I've already had to, you can see the browning up here. I don't, there's going to be some browning coming around on this one soon. I've already had to cut this one. I just love this leaf so much. So we're going to do him here soon too, but let's do the babies. All right. Oh, guys, I forgot my bowl. Yeah, I'm going to get my bowl. I'll be back. Yeah, I went back to the floor. knowing how painful it is going to be to get up and down. But it's just easier than having to set up the cardboard table and the light, and it's just painful getting up and down. All right, here's my bowl at. Okay. I love Saturdays. I love the weekends. They're my plant days, and I get to do all the fun stuff. And by the way, guys, I am on a plant ban. I started early August, I think. I did go to an orchid festival here in town, and bought myself an orchid and a Anthurium pendens, which I'll do a video on at some point. And so it kind of broke the plant ban, but really my plant ban's not about buying plants here locally. It's shipping. It's buying them on Etsy. So knowing I don't get to really find plants here locally, the ones that I really want normally. And I knew when I went to the Orchid Fest and, gosh, this is, yeah. And I knew going to the Orchid Fest and Equa Genera was going to be there. I knew that that's it. I'm going to be buying whatever I want. And it was great. I had a blast. But anyway, so yeah, all that said is I'm just having a really great time with my current plants. I don't feel like the need to buy new plants online. I can really enjoy what I've got going on here without having to feel like I have to buy new plants all the time, and it's really nice. I love my plants. All right, so, I'm kind of contemplating. So I've been putting, more of the looser stuff at the bottom, because when you put this in, when I put this in, you don't want the roots sitting on the floor. You want them sitting up here, which is going to be right above the sun, which is where all the water line is going to be like right here. Okay. So where the water line is, you don't want to put your roots in there. Now, granted, they're going to grow in there, and that's fine. But then when they do, by that time, he's going to need to be up potted to the next pot. And the downside with this, by the way, is they only have a 3-inch, a 5-inch, and an 8-inch pot. So that's kind of a bummer. I asked them if they plan on making more, and they said yes. So when, I don't know, but I'm going to keep with what I did before, and my notes say I did all perlite at the bottom. I'm not going to put bark, mainly because they say that you need to make sure that when you put this in here, you want it filling up all of the, what's the word? Let me show you. I don't know what the word is, but they want you to fill up the inside, the bottom of this all the way around. So I need to make sure that the perlite or the leca or whatever you want to use is completely filling this floor of the pot. Now, why I am taking some out here is because I want to make sure then that the soil I use it's sitting on top of the perlite, and it gets all the moisture then from the perlite. So what I'm going to do here, this is mostly tree fern, like I said. I'm just going to not aggravate it and sit him right in here. Okay. So now what I'll do is use my mollies. I think I want mollies. Do I want mollies? Or do I want to just start reuse some of this? No, that's pretty gritty on top there. What do I want? This is the hard part, guys. This is the hard part. You don't want to change too much because you'll really mess things up. But yet at the same time, I don't like, the reason I'm thinking of leaving mollies is the cocoa core or whatever it's called. I really don't care much for that. But I think what I'll do is I'll put mollies around. I don't like these big leca balls either. And the big bark chips that they use sometimes. So what I'll do here is I'll just put this around the gaps of where, to fill the gaps where, because you know, this is bigger than the 2-inch pot that he was in. And I don't think they want it too snug in there, so, which is fine. What I like to do as well is I like to put tree fern more around the stem, just a little bit. It doesn't need much. Because remember, tree roots all where it came from. So all this was tree fern to grow him, to have him grow. I used tree fern to grow the corms. Sadly, these and my, I'm not sure yet about my dragon scale, if that's going to survive or not. It's something, I don't know, it looks funny to me. I saw something like a ugly worm of larvae of some sort a couple weeks back, and I isolated it, sprayed it, and I thought maybe it was just, I don't know what it was, but I was like, don't throw it out, isolate it. And I think it's dead, but the leaves just don't look right. I don't know. All right, so this is all I'm going to do. And now I'm going to put my grit on top. And I will most likely have to up pot these to the 5-inch planter. My guess will be they will be ready in 2 or 3 months. As fast as this plant grows for me, I would be surprised if it's less. Now, being that it's fall,
Maybe it won't, but hey, it's a house plant, so it's going to think it's spring and summer all the time, right? Until it gets too cold. And it gets a little nippy in here sometimes at night. All right, so that's this. Now what I'll do is I'll water when I'm all done, and I'll take you in there with me so you can see what I do. Because I will be treating it differently than what they really probably want you to do. But they need treatment and they need fertilizer, so you don't want to slack on that. Put that there. I don't like that stuff. All right. Next is, okay, my dragon scale. So here's my dragon scale, guys. Notice the leaves. It just doesn't look right. But another leaf's coming out, so I'm just going to go with it and see how he does. A lot of algae on this thing too. Wow, look at that. Holy spokes. I mean, I think this means it's wet, but I think that I don't want all of that to come with it, because actually I may even want fresh, since I thought I saw something on it at one point. Just trying to be real careful because these roots are tiny. Yeah, I've been successful with this corm. I had 3 from this plant. I had black velvet corms that never came out, and I had tenderusa corms, never made it, and what others? I don't know. I feel like I'm missing one, but yeah. But so the Capreas and this one have been successful. So that's kind of exciting, but it's not a lot of work. It's just a lot of patience. I, for one, don't like growing plants. That's not my cup of tea. But I'm not going to throw them out when I could get a free plant out of it. Dragon scale is not my favorite plant. I'm actually quite frustrated with the adult one I have at the moment. I'll explain why when I repot him, because he's going to be repotted too. Like I say, all my alocasias are going to get done today. I think I need to... I am thinking of doing my Anthurium as well. Not the big adult plants, but my seedlings. So we might add that to today's chore, or I might do it off camera. We'll see depends my time. All right, so there's that one. Now, the next one is this bad boy. We're going to go ahead and put him in a 5-inch. I think 8-inch for him would be too big. I don't know. Yeah, I think 8-inch is going to be it. 5-inch is way too small. Yeah, this is a 5-inch. So if you look at it, to me, I don't know. I feel like a 5-inch is going to be too small, but let's take him out because I don't know what he looks like underneath. Don't want to fuss with him. He's happy. So I see a lot of roots up in here. I see some roots here too. I'll be zooming in so you guys should be able to see all this. I think, guys, I think I'm going to do the 8-inch for him as well. I know that's a little big, but I don't want to squish him in a 5-inch. And this is the part where I don't like that they only have 3 pots to choose from. That's quite frustrating, actually. So here, because it's so big, I'm going to change up and use some of my bark, I think, and the bark and the charcoal and the big pumice at the bottom, because there's a lot more room here, obviously, than a 3-inch. I think I did this pretty sure I did this for my 8-inch one too. The other one, the Caprea 8-inch. I mean, obviously you can use leca at the bottom. You can use your tree fern and do all of that, but at this point, I'm still experimenting. I'm not real comfortable having that kind of moisture at the bottom. Seems to work so far. I don't know. We'll see. So this is what I got at the bottom. Now I will mixing up more of this, a lot more of this. And a lot more of this. Oh gosh. Some big chunk was in there and I just got it all over the place. Well, I'll be vacuuming. So I'll put this down first, cover the bottom. So we can sit on it. Yeah, that'd be good. Gives him room to grow, and he'll be in here for a nice long time. Still think it's way too big. I would have done probably if they had 6-inch or a 7-inch. I would have probably done a 7-inch pot. 8-inch just is slightly too big, guys. Slightly too big. But that's what we have. Another thing I've learned too is how important airiness really means. That's why I'm starting to use bark more, especially in the Anthuriums versus my Alocasias. I think the Alocasia, this is fine. But my Alocasia that I just chopped, I chopped two. One to try to save, which was my Orquinum. And that video will be posted here soon. I think I mentioned that earlier. And then my chop of the Anthurium Michelle Doc Block, which was successful. And yeah, and I haven't done that video yet. I did put it up on Instagram, so you can see it in my highlights. If you follow me over there. I don't know how all that works. I'm still new with Instagram. Not a fan. It's very difficult to kind of use. But over time, you kind of start figuring things out. So because it's already surrounded its roots with a lot of tree fern, I really don't need to have, actually I really don't even need to add any more tree ferns. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back. And just focus on airier stuff here. So I'll just do mollies. Tree fern costs too much money anyways to just have it in there for the fun of it when it's not really going to use it, you know. If it was a completely repot, then I would definitely be using it. But because it's already got all of its goodies around its roots already, that's why bother. So see, there's too many leca balls here at the top. Yeah, just do just a little bit here. Molly's is a great mix, but I think it'd be cheaper if I just tried to make my own. Not that it's not the, it's just I don't need these things, you know. I don't need the unneeded, I don't need the stuff that I already buy separately anyways, so I just feel like it's kind of a waste. Don't need to open those. And yeah, this makes a mess, by the way, in the water, but I really don't, it's fine. as long as, you can dump the water out and put the same amount of water in. Just make sure it's the same amount. Okay, now, oh boy, the big one, yeah, I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. So my shirt, he's been really happy in his 8-inch pot since I've brought him home. But I'm thinking I'm going to put him. He needs to be repotted anyways. But this may be too small, an 8-inch. He's already in an 8-inch. Not this, but he's already in an 8-inch pot, and I don't know. I don't know, guys. I'll show you here. It's my Nairobi night. So the dragon scale here is the one that's been irritating me. Boy, he's dry. Why? Because of the stupid flowers, okay? The stupid flowers that he brings out. He brings out so many of these flowers, and I don't know, this was probably another stupid flower. And it's ruined the leaves. I mean, here's a leaf that got ruined because I cut the flower before it came out. That's my fault, I know. But it just aggravates me. Hey, look, the corm's growing. I've got another one growing, guys. But we'll go with it. I'm just going to let him do his thing. And yeah, he's real fat here. And that's partially my fault because you've got these dead flowers now sitting in his trunk. Sometimes I do the dumbest things. Oh well. He's going to need, I was just going to put him in the 5-inch, but I think he needs the 8-inch too. Not really planning on using all of those, but gosh. I think this is too small. It's definitely too small. I'm not planning on that. He sure has a lot of roots, though. All right, so I guess 8-inch it is. My terracotta or my, yeah, this is definitely another stupid flower it's growing out. So frustrating. It's not even a flower. It's a stinky flower. My mom and I don't like these things at all. Oh yeah, okay. But I have to water this one at least every 5 days as well. So he'll appreciate this pot. I'm kind of bummed though that my 5-inch pots are too small for these. I was really hoping for that. But they'll be good for my Anthurium if I put them in it. Okay. There's that one. You guys can stare at that ugly spot. So, the question now is, oh, I gotta get up and get my last one. I'm gonna go ahead and turn my iPad off. All right. Here he is. So, as you can see, I'll bring him over in a second. I honestly think a 10-inch is probably the best bet for him. However, there's a big difference in the pot. So here's our square pot. Here's our round terracotta pot, right? So he's lacking in space at the bottom, where these he has pretty good range. However, we know that in here you don't have much room for your roots if you're doing it above the reservoir line, right? So he needs to be repotted. He's growing out of this pot, and you can see that here. So I think I'm going to get him out and see where we're at, and then make the judgment call. If I can't get him in the 8-inch, I'll get a plastic pot and repot him in that. And most likely a 9-inch, not a 10-inch, but we'll see. Because I have many of those. Yeah, this will be interesting because this is the one plant I have not repotted since getting him. I hope I don't hurt him. I know there'll be some root loss because of this terracotta. Gosh. All right, I'm gonna move these guys out of the way. A lot of washing to do. I don't have much to chat about. I know I watch a lot of videos, and a lot of people like people chatting, and I'm not a chatty person outside of plants. My life does not consist of anything to be really chatty about. So If you have questions for me, put them in the comments and I'll answer them if it's appropriate. I'm a very private person, so I don't, nor will I talk too much about things personally. But since this is really all about plants, that's kind of what I just keep to. My husband and I do not travel. We haven't traveled, oh gosh, I can't even remember the last time we went somewhere. And I'm just a big homebody, and so is he. And we don't ever put our dogs into any type of daycare. We take care of them, and so, yeah, not much to chat about. I know some people have some really neat places that they go, and they travel abroad. Wow, hey guys, look at this. He hasn't, oh yeah, I lost some roots in here. He's not as big as I thought maybe he would have been for somebody who just put out this leaf for me. I'll show you later. He's too tall right now, and my camera's facing downwards. But here's where we are. My camera's off. It's black screen, so I can't see very well. I know he has plenty of corms, but I'm not interested in any more corms. So if they want to grow, they can grow. I'm done. So, yeah, this will work. I think this 8-inch will be perfect for him. And that's really the same size as the other two that I just did. So that's kind of encouraging. Let's put him back in here. All right, let me think. One thing I do remember is I did repot this when I brought him home, but I couldn't get all the soil off its roots. I just don't think I'm going to fuss with it. I'm just not going to fuss with it. The only reason I'm concerned is he'll hold water a little longer than the others because of the nursery potting soil that's still in some of those roots. But maybe that's okay. It's not much. I mean, I see all my grit and stuff in there. So yeah, I'm just not going to worry too much about it, I guess. All right, let's hope I have plenty of tree fern, but that's not something you want to use on adult plants, in my opinion. It's fine growing corms, it's fine growing seedlings, but not adult plants. Mainly because there's no, it's good. I mean, it's good. I've seen it around the roots. It doesn't suffocate them, but I feel like it has potential. So you definitely want to, and that's why I think that I'm eventually without mollies, I'm going to be using the tree fern fiber and then the bark for not Anthurium, but more for, like I say, the not for the Alocasia, but for the Anthurium. So glad I caught myself. I confuse myself sometimes when I'm on, when I'm recording. I'll say Alocasia when I'm really meaning Anthurium. Then I have to put the text on the screen, and a lot of times people aren't reading or watching shows like that, and they, I don't know, maybe it doesn't matter. But at least I caught myself this time. I'm going to have to get more mollies. One thing I really like about this is that the ingredients that they use is excellent. The cocoa chips and cocoa fiber, I'm not sure about that. But they have worm castings, calcitic and dolomite, I can't even say it, limestone, coarse horticultural perlite, charcoal, rhizohagus something. Yeah, a lot of good stuff in here. What I like is the super-powered bacteria and mycorrhizae. So I usually add all of that also to, and which I'm going to be doing all of these as well when I water, adding the micro to it. But it has really good ingredients. And honestly, I could just use mollies and not buy the tree fern. But I really like tree fern fiber. I think it adds really to the root system. So, but yeah, it's a really good mix. I don't know. I change all the time. But why change what works? I mean, all my plants are in it now, so. Why change what works? I just wish the leca balls were lessened. But I understand why they added it. It's not, they didn't mean for people to buy other things. He's going to have to sit down a little farther, or honestly, I may cut some of this off. Yeah, I'm going to have to cut some of that off, guys, because, and that's okay. I did this with my Monstera, and he's thriving. He needs to be cut down some. I'm not afraid. Sometimes you just gotta do it. Right, Shishi? She's running around here. Well, I think that'll be better. I do feel that wet mix in here, the nursery mix. To keep watch of the time. I have to leave here in 45 minutes. So I'll probably stop and hopefully have time to rewater, but I need to clean up before I leave, which is most important, so the doggies don't have that around to get into. Yeah, that's better. All right, because you don't want it unbalanced. He's too heavy to have him up any further. And I'm going to tuck him in more than the others. He's a lot more top heavy. Oh, I wanted to show you the leaf that he came out under my care with. Once I put him under these grow lights, I have a Soltec low for this one. And it was this one. I don't know if I can't see the camera. It's turned off at the moment, but that's the one that came out. I was so happy. Oh, my back. Okay, so add a little tree fern around the top here, just a little bit. Just a tad. All right, not quite done cleaning, but I want to get these guys started before I leave. So first thing I do is just get it wet. I treat it. Because this is new, well, some of it's not new around the root ball. I'm going to treat it with the BTI. And I'm going to fertilize because it'll be a while before I do it again. And then what I'll do here, I'll do this on each of them, and then when I get back, I'm going to put it in my plant app, what I did. Now I fill the reservoir to as far up as I can underneath the sun. Let's see what you can see here. So you see here, it's right underneath the sun. So what I'll do is I'll be real gentle because you don't want it going over. Oh, but it is. So because of that, I'm not really going to worry about it, to be honest. Because here's the problem with the 3-inch. You can't get a pot or a watering hose or whatever down this hole. So that's fine for me. Where am I at here? Guys, this is the first fall day that I've gotten to actually walk in 50-degree weather. It was a little nippy at first, but now that we've been out here for a short bit, it's gotten perfect. I just love the fall. It's my favorite time of year, which I think if I had to wager, most everyone in Ohio would say the same thing. You've got perfect weather. It's not too hot, not too cold, and the leaves smell beautifully. The sun's perfect position, so bright, cheerful, cozy, and yeah, I love the fall. What's your favorite season? If you live in even a one-season place, let me know. I would love to hear about, because I don't hear many people talk about, their favorite seasons on planty videos. So I like going off topic once in a while.